Hey, good morning, guys. UC here from iTradePrice, and today is October 8th, Sunday morning. Let us get started with our weekly review. QQQ weekly chart here. Okay, so it held this whole 351, 352 level, right? That's where we broke out of. We tested that level right there. We saw a nice bounce, made a lower high, got back to 351, 352, and we saw a little bit of bounce, right? Still that's in a sideways to slightly down channel, right? If you look at that one, and from the weekly perspective, I think the ICT concept is that this is your fair value gap area, and that's where sellers or short sellers can emerge, right? For another attempt at pushing the price down. If it does not, then definitely 371.8 is your upside target. That's the high of this week. That's where we started this recent downturn, this breakdown, and then we have this downtrend line as our initial target on the upside. If it keeps on going up above that, then definitely 380.7. If let's drill down to a daily view, a nice rally on Friday, right? Still not completely out of the woods, but yes, we did break out above this downtrend line in a lower time frame. So this was a nice breakout. We opened pretty weak towards the low end of the weekly range. We saw a nice bounce back above that, filled this gap as well, kind of closed right here, right? So if it wants to keep on going up, this is where we have the multiple touch points, 371.8, downtrend line in a higher time frame. That can be your move. But if it wants to pull back, let's get into an hourly view. Let's see if you can bring the other levels just for a better view. Okay, so right, this was the level that we broke out above on Friday, right? That gave us a good indication that the market is bullish even with a bearish open, right? And then it kept on going towards this level, made it to the next level, and now this is the intraday level, right? So if we are below Monday morning, below this level, definitely this could be your downside target, 362.4, 360.1, right? And then we could see a bounce from there. This could also be a Fibonacci retracement. To keep on going bullish, right, 365.9, which is the weekly high. We have 367.9, 371.8 as the weekly structure high, right? That's where we saw the breakdown from. So that becomes your target on the upside. So pullback 362.4, still structure wise okay. Below that, 360.1. All right, let's take a look at SPY weekly chart. Let me take care of these levels. There you go. So now bullish trend line, bullish channel still in play. We saw a nice retrace back, and we saw two bounces from this area, two bottom wicks. But the concern is that still did not manage to close above this 429.9, 430, which was a support, which was the previous breakout area right here. We tested that area right here. We couldn't close above the week before. We couldn't close the last week as well. Is the pressure building? We don't know. We'll find out. But so far, that's my only sort of concern on a weekly time frame. If it was bullish, we should have had a chance actually to close above that. In a daily view, right, this uptrend line provided nice bounces. It was not breaking down. In all these 4 days, it was holding this level right here, and finally on Friday, I think bears gave up and just kind of started covering the shorts, and we made it nicely back towards the structure high, right? So we opened above this level, on last, I think the Friday before, it was maybe Monday, whatever it was, but we couldn't hold above this level and went back down. So this is the level to consider for bulls, that if we need to keep continuing up, we really need to get above this level, 429.9. Okay, Tesla, let's take a weekly look. Okay, up channel, nicely bought from this below 240 level, bottom wick right here, right here. Still it's kind of closed neutral, I would say. It's not really extremely bullish, but it's not even bearish as well, right? Still, I think it needs to close and get above this downtrend line, which would be probably more visible in a daily time frame if I have it. Nope, I don't. But this channel here, right? This channel really need to hold this channel now if you want to keep moving up, right? And you can clearly see this area hole has some importance, right? Once we were below that, this was resistance. Once we got above that, it became support, again resistance right here. So if we are above that, definitely 279 is your target. If we get below that, I will look to see if it holds 250 or not, but if it does not, then definitely you're breaking below this trend line, and then it can target the lower structure low right here around 235 and this uptrend line. So we'll play it day by day, but from right now, it's getting bought, right? Every time it opens low, it gets bought up. But again, really need to get above this 262, 263 level. That's where it is having some problems and issues. Okay. Apple. Haven't really done much. Yeah, I mean, it's just not really a bullish chart for now, right? It's just, even with the bullish day, couldn't really get towards the high end of this structure, right? Which is right around here, or even above 180, right? All this push was just, made it a little bit more neutral, I would say. So nothing bullish for now. Yes, it's holding this level around 170. If we break down, then definitely this area to back test of this downtrend line, right? This downtrend line right here, this back test could be in play. 164. If we reverse back down to get bullish, really need to get above 180, right? That's like the psychological number. If we get above that, we can target higher prices. In a daily view, you can see the breakdown a little bit more clearly. It gets rejection from this 180 level every time we try to trade there. So it could be that we open up strong, we go there, and then it fails, right? So look out for that kind of price action. On the downside, I think this is your level, 175, 175.5. Staying above that, it's still okay, because then you will be looking at this uptrend line, right? If it gives up that uptrend line, then definitely you have a little more to the downside. Okay, all right. Amazon, weekly chart is not that great looking, right? Even with all this bullish momentum on Friday, it's still sort of a doji looking neutral weekly bar with top and bottom wick both, right? This is where we saw the breakdown from, right? This bearish bar, and then there has been a couple of attempts, right, from the buyers to take the price back above 131.9, 132, but it's not happening, and then the price is kind of tightening up. So eventually it breaks down towards 119.2, or it breaks out above 132. Okay, so that's sort of your view in a weekly time frame. In a daily view, definitely this is weekly. Let's adjust this to something like this, 124.1. That's sort of the low end, right? Yeah, let's just bring the other levels. There you go. So this one gives us a little bit more detailed view of this downtrend line in a lower time frame. So kind of confusing price action, right? It's just sort of sideways, overlapping, no clear direction, right? In the daily time frame, it's just a whole bunch of sellers and then buyers come in. Sellers, buyers come in, but it's just sideways, not going anywhere. So from trade perspective, above this trend line, you can target these levels. If you get a rejection from here, if we are below 125.8, then this is your support level. If it breaks down, right, like the way we talked about, then lower prices are in store for this name. Google, I am holding some long-term calls on this one. I like the chart on a weekly view. So let me show you how I'm still thinking. It's still not breaking down right with all the stuff that's happening. You don't see any bearish follow through to any red bar, even if it's a bearish trend bar, right? This was a bearish trend bar. This was a bearish trend bar, right? By trend bar, I mean, you know, it was closed the week towards the low end of its week, right? Of its range. So keeps going back up. My target is 143.7, and then of course I'll raise my stop loss and see how it goes. But you really need to get out of this 138. That's where we're having some issues, right? We have multiple rejections there. Let's see what happens. But it held this 126.4 level on a pullback. It has done that like a champ. Hopefully it does not reverse. If it does, then definitely, you know, just we'll have to see if it holds 126.4 or not on a weekly view. On a daily view, not really considering it that much. It's just, you know, nicely up. So no bearish follow through to any bearish trades. Higher highs, higher lows. That structure is still intact. But if we get a breakdown from here, that can be brutal, because then that would mean it's going to break this sort of trend line, and we can see a little bit of flush. Okay. Let's talk about Netflix. Let's take a look at the weekly chart. Again, yes, it held this previous resistance turned support level, right? This was the resistance right here. Resistance right here. We broke out above that, and now we're testing that again. We haven't really broken down below that. We have an outside bar. So I would say we did back test this channel. So, but if it wants to break down, let's look at it in the daily view. I would say yes, we did see a little bit of bounce on Friday, closed above this 1379. It's all right, but really not super bullish. But I would say if it gets above this 384.8, 385, that's sort of the level where we were seeing rejections from. If we can get above that, we can back test this level of 395. If it goes back under 378.7, let's take a look at some detailed levels. Yeah, 378.4, 374. If it breaks these two levels, then, you know, then that means it's still in a downtrend, and bulls or bears saw this opportunity to short more. With earnings coming up, could be difficult to trade this, you know, because of the options premium will inflate. But if it breaks down here for a day trade, 354.2 can be in play. Above 385, we can target 395 or a little bit, like, you know, levels between 393 and 396. Okay. Let's talk about NVDA. Default levels, weekly view, still honoring this uptrend line, channel, whatever you want to call it, right? We had 2 weeks of almost like a balance, right? Right here, resistance, this was support. We broke out above that 442. Now this becomes your sort of level to watch. If it can get above that, then definitely we have, you know, some touch points right in this zone. Earnings are a little bit far, so yeah, we'll see. But in the daily view, I'd say, yeah, you can see nicely got above 442.5, bullish bar, closed the day above this downtrend line in a smaller time frame. So as long as we are above that, you know, from trade perspective, yes, we can back test this thing, bounce, whatever, but the level to watch is probably around this one right here on the top side. That's where we have multiple touch points here in this area that can attract the price still. So 463, 464 is where I would at least trim if we are riding long at the breakout of this. Okay. Microsoft, let's zoom out. Let's take a look at the weekly chart. Okay, so it held this 312 level, right? This was the resistance for the longest time, right here, right here. It was right here. Once we broke out, we tested that level again. We back tested that level again, but it is a lower after making a lower high. So if we need to get above this, really need to get break this 331 level, and 341 can be the target. But if we stay below that, some people call it bullish because of this 3-bar pattern, right? Breakdown, nothing happened, you know, held the level, bullish, back up. So this is could be a 3-bar reversal pattern, right? But I think you really need to get above this downtrend line. Let's see if I have that in my other. Nope, I do not. So, but you can make one like this, something like that, right? This could be a push. I mean, sorry, a target towards the top if market keeps pushing higher above 330 to 334, right? Towards the downside, I would say getting below 321 would be a cause of concern, because that's where we broke out of in the lower time frame. Okay, Meta, from a weekly perspective, yes, a lot of overlapping. Sorry, that's daily. It's all right, right? There's no aggressive sellers, right? You don't see a whole lot of bearish trend bars, right? This was a top wick, but completely failed, right? On a weekly basis, right? Yes, we did see a move down, but it did not close towards the low end of that range, right? It managed to close neutral, and then we saw a nice bounce, taking it back above and closing above this recent structure high of 330. If it keeps pushing higher, you know, watch for 326 as your level. That's where we saw a couple of rejections, right, in the recent history. So that could be at play. To remain bullish, I would say, you know, really need to stay above 307, 308, because you can see we have a lot of touch points there in that area where the price was getting rejected from. So now we finally managed to get above that. Staying above that keeps it bullish. So any pullback, it's a good opportunity to get long, I would say, with a minimal risk, right? Because if you get long here, your risk is only this much versus if you are getting long here, right? So if that pullback happens, this is your risk. If it gets below that, sure, you get stopped out, small risk, right? And then look for this downtrend line as your, uptrend line as your target on the downside. Okay, so yeah, I mean, this is all from trade perspective. It's not from long-term investment hold, all that kind of perspective. Okay, all right, guys. Hope great rest of your Sunday. If you have any questions, feedback, comments, questions, chart requests, let me know. Thank you, Emma. Have a good rest of your day. Bye-bye.